Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, welcome today. I want to demonstrate to you how to make kettle corn. The recipe is going to be at the bottom in the description. So really quick, a couple basics for kettle corn. One is preparation. We've laid out some butcher paper here. You can see we've already made one batch of kettle corn. This is where we'll spread the kettle corn after we're done. You want to have a nice, heavy kettle or Dutch oven, stainless steel, cast iron, anything thick that's going to hold that heat in. A thin stainless steel pan is not going to work. A thick aluminum pan will. Thick stainless steel pan is. So ingredients, let's go over these. First and foremost, your cooking oil. Shortening, and only shortening will work. Butter flavor is great, adds a little extra depth to your caramel corn. Of course, corn. Top quality kernels is ideal. Cheap stuff just doesn't cut it for some reason. A little salt and
Sugar and vanilla.
white sugar. Half a cup of corn, quarter cup of sugar, quarter cup of shortening-ish, half a teaspoon of salt, and then this right here is homemade vanilla extract. If you've never made your own vanilla extract at home, it is wonderful. You can get it off Amazon. You can get the beans off Amazon. Go to your local liquor store, pick up your favorite bottle of whatever, 90 proof. Slit the beans open, stuff them in the bottle, let it sit for a few months. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna fire up the heat. Medium high is your temperature. You're gonna get your shortening melted out. It's gonna start to bubble a little bit. You're gonna take a whopping 3 kernels of popcorn. You're gonna drop them into the oil, give it a little shake around, and you're just gonna wait for it. Okay, so what we're waiting here to do is these 3 kernels of corn, when they pop, they are going to be our temperature indicators. When they pop, the temperature of the oil is at the proper temperature to cook the rest of it. So I have added the salt and the kernels and the sugar in there. I'm going to liberally add a little bit of vanilla extract. You can see I'm big on measurements for that. Might give it a little bit of a stir around on occasion. And your oil's going to start smoking. You're going to think that you are burning it, and then all of a sudden they will start to pop. 2. And the third one's going to be right behind them. And 3. We're going to pour everything in, all in one fell swoop. Stir it with a spoon or spatula. You're going to want something non-melting here because it is quite hot. Set that aside, put the lid on, and let it get back up to temperature a little bit. Shut off the whistler. I'm going to let that get up there. And then on regular occasion, we're just going to shake our pan. Starters, a good rule of thumb is 3 seconds of sitting and resting on the heat, and 3 seconds of shaking and stirring. As you practice and as you listen, you're going to kind of catch on to when you need to do that. So, as you see, I'm spending less time shaking and more time letting it sit, but I've made a lot of this at various requests. All you're doing with the shaking is getting the corn to move so it doesn't sit along with the sugars. So it doesn't sit in one spot and burn. Okay, as you can hear it, our popcorn's starting to pop. You'll have that moment of real rapid popping. And what we're listening for is for the moment it slows down, and you're going to be surprised at how completely this pops. stir. I'll spend a little more time shaking it as it gets farther into cooking, because those light kernels have to come up on top. You have to get that heavier stuff down onto the heat. Okay. We're listening, and there's the key. We're gonna go heat off, lid open, and see we have a nice big batch. And right onto the butcher paper, I see 4 or 5 kernels that are on top, not much more. Okay. Okay, now one key thing is, if you are going to make multiple batches of kettle corn, you're going to want to make sure and have a very clean pot in between each batch, because you will burn the sugars on, and that will be a nightmare for cleaning. But there you have it. There is a fresh batch of homemade kettle corn.